Hi, and welcome back to Module 3. This is Lesson 3. This is the final lesson of the entire course. And here I'm going to talk about managing your mind. This is so important to manage our minds because, as you learned in Module 1 and Module 2, the gut-brain axis is the communication between the brain and the gut. The brain talks to the gut talks to the brain. These are very important lines of communication. These lines of communication can be impacted by anything that affects our brain or our gut, meaning stress, uh, different kinds of behaviors, dysbiosis, uh, any kind of gut disorders. Both are affecting both the brain and the gut. So it's important, if you want to keep the gut healthy, you want to keep the brain healthy, and vice versa. So the overarching model that is used by myself and others who are trained in the same way I was trained is that circumstances trigger our thoughts, which cause our feelings, which cause our actions, which cause our results. And any circumstance or any thought that we have can be put into this model. It's called the model. And we can look at any of our actions, feelings, or thoughts and results in this lens of this model. And this has become a very important way of looking and seeing our minds and managing our thoughts. And once we manage our thoughts, we can manage our feelings. And if we can manage our feelings, we can manage our actions and get results. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is, because circumstances are merely facts. It's our thoughts about the circumstance that causes the struggle or the conflict. And that's good news for us, because if we want to change our results, all we have to do is change our thoughts. So all of this goes back way back into our childhood, and the stories that we tell ourselves have had meaning for us today, and how they impact our current behavior. These stories may or may not be true. They're probably not true when you actually look for the evidence for them to be true. They could be stories that our family or friends told us, and they just stuck with us and became part of our narrative. And when you do thought work, these stories come to light, and we're challenged to explore the truth and let it go if it doesn't serve us. So what's the connection between coaching and gut health? Well, as I said before in the previous slides, managing your mind and managing your gut are two sides of the same coin. And this points to the interconnection between the mind and the gut. So awareness of our thoughts is coming to us. If we have knowledge and we have information about our thoughts, it helps us deal with stress. There's nothing more stressful than the unknown. If we know what our thoughts are and we're aware, we are empowered, and we have self-worth and value. And if you look at instances where we're not feeling well, we're not feeling well about ourselves, we have issues with our mindset. It can make us more prone to emotional eating or buffering, because nobody binges on vegetables. I never saw anybody eat mountains of salad. Mountains of donuts, yes. Mountains of salad, no. And when we feel bad, we go for sweet, salty, and fat. So if we are in a good mindset, however, we take better care of ourselves, and we feel better in our minds as a result. So what's the difference between coaching and therapy? Because a lot of people don't really know the difference. Coaching is done by a trained coach. Hopefully, the person who tells you they're a coach, has training. It may not be a health professional, but it could be. Um, Therapists are usually health professionals that have formal training or advanced degree. Um, in coaching, we deal a lot with uh, the present, what is happening right now, or what happened in the immediate past, and going forward into the future. While therapy looks a lot at the past and tries to get an understanding of who we are today based on the past. Coaching can often be goal oriented, including, business coaching. There are weight loss coaches, there are strategic coaches, etc. Whereas therapists will look at relationships and the history of your relationships. You can also be a therapist to coach on trauma. Well, you can have therapy on trauma. It's not coaching on trauma, although there are coaches who do work with trauma patients, trauma clients, but usually professionals who take care of trauma patients or work with mental health are health professionals. Coaches deal a lot with mostly with well patients. They are highly functioning or healthy and functioning patients, clients, and they are just stuck and need to look for strategic ways where they can get action and results. And the goal is for the client to be able to coach themselves. And it's a time limited relationship. Whereas therapists will work to explore the subconscious and the unconscious mind. And therapy can extend for long periods of time, including years. So looking at our inner voices, these are our inner voices that are only what we can hear ourselves say. They are usually the voices that speak most harshly to us. They're the voices that talk about our self-worth. They may say you don't deserve this, or you are a failure. They may give you negative talk. Um, these are usually things that we would never say to another person, but we say to ourselves all the time. They usually talk about issues of value, of self and others. Um, they address the body image. We call ourselves fat, we call ourselves unworthy. And usually these seeds are planted when we are very, very young, and they become part of our narrative. You should always remember that, you're allowed to change your plans. You don't have to be happy all the time. Uh, you can you can be authentically yourself, and all of that is okay. And when you discuss your stress and you think about what stress means for you, what you can do, one of the things that can be useful is to do something called a thought download, where you can set a timer for 5 minutes, and in those 5 minutes, you get a piece of paper and you write down all of your thoughts. And once you put all your thoughts on paper, when that 5 minutes is up, you look at your thoughts. And you can pick one or several to look at and work with and be curious. You want to ask yourself the following questions. Is that thought true? How do you feel when you think that thought? And what do you do when you feel that way? So you want to be looking at what your thought is, what evidence you have to support that, how you feel when you think that thought. So you want to look at your feelings and you want to look at your actions. And once you do that, then you can look at your results as well. Now, buffering here needs to be defined. Buffering is an action that we do to avoid our feelings, and it always has a net negative result. Some examples of buffering include overeating, overdrinking, overspending, like shopping online and spending a lot of money, and binging on things like Netflix. This is often what people refer to as emotional eating. And emotional eating occurs when we have uncomfortable emotions and we soothe those uncomfortable emotions with food. And like I said, it's not mountains of salad. It's something sweet or something salty or something fatty. And once we binge on that and we soothe with that food, we punish ourselves through restriction. So we say, "I'll never do it again. I will starve myself," or some other form of that. And then through that restriction, then we have to burst that bubble and binge eat. So this is a vicious cycle that happens, and many of us have to recover from that. And one of the things that keeps it going is our negative self-talk and our feelings of low self-worth. One of the things to look at, if this is something that describes you, is you need to be able to get to the feeling that is causing this activity. So be curious about your feelings. A feeling cannot hurt you. You can look at to see where you feel it in your body. Sometimes people feel it in their chest or their neck or their throat or their stomach. Get curious about it and ask, like, what vibrations or sensations do you feel when you feel that feeling? What does this feeling make you want to do? What color is the feeling? And just remember, you can eat to fuel your body, not your emotions. And I always say that, um, eating to fuel your emotions, or eating to cover your emotions, is like putting a band-aid on when you have a headache. It's the wrong treatment. So you need to find the right treatment, which one of those things is facing your feelings and acknowledging them, and then you can let them go. And when we try and put everything, all of these things into the model, you come up with all the circumstances, which are always neutral. Our thoughts are what we think about the circumstances. Our feelings are what we feel when we think the thought. Our actions are what we do when we feel the feeling, and the result are what are the results of these actions, and it usually reinforces the original thought. And if you want to change your results, meaning your thought, your the end result, you need to go back to the thought that is causing the feeling and change the thought. Now, sometimes we can't go from you know negative to positive, or we can't completely make that jump. So we can use something like a bridge thought, which is a thought that you're more comfortable with, but it's not all the way. So if you can't say to yourself, instead of saying to yourself, "I hate my body," and you can't really go to the point where you can say, "Well, I love my body," just, completely opposite. You can just say, "I have a body," which is true and it's neutral, and maybe it'll get you there, but you might not be ready to say, "I love my body" just yet, but "I have a body" will be good enough for now. At least it's better than saying, "I hate my body." The other thing that you can do to calm your stress and to be able to look at your thoughts and see them and let them go is meditation. So, meditation really allows us to accept that everything changes, and it's acceptance of impermanence. This is looking at your thoughts and being free from judgment. You can use meditation apps on that you can find. There's many of them out there, but if you just set your timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and sit by yourself, you can pretty much do the same job. And how does meditation affect the biome? This is a very interesting article that I uncovered in researching for this course. There, where the researchers called it the gut-brain microbiome axis. And what they showed in a study in October of 2022 by the British Medical Journal, they showed that long-term meditation practice positively affects the gut microbiome. And this is from long-term deep meditation. They compared the microbiome of Tibetan Buddhist monks with their neighboring residents and saw that the only difference in these two groups was that the monks meditated, and there was a significant alteration in the microbiome of the monks. They had a lower risk of anxiety, depression, cardiovascular disease, and improved immune function, which I think is amazing because it really um, is evidence to support that the microbiome communicates with the gut and the brain. Mindfulness practices that occur here in this country, base their practices in yoga and meditation, such as the mindfulness-based stress reduction or MBSR program by Jon Kabat-Zinn. This was a program that is still ongoing today. You can find it online, and you can actually do a MBSR course. This is a fascinating practice. I went through this course, and it's basically a, a, a course that shows you, it's very light yoga. There's meditation involved. It's a group experience, and it originally was based in a hospital, and they showed that patients who had this kind of practice, this group practice that they had significant effects on their cardiovascular health, and they had improved cancer treatment outcomes. And if you're interested in reading Full Catastrophe Living by Jon Kabat-Zinn, that's his definitive work on the MBSR technique. Visualization is also something that can be practiced, which allows your mind to focus on something specific. There's different types of meditations that incorporate visualization, such as color meditations or the loving kindness meditation. That's a well-known one. There's something called progressive muscle relaxation, where you go through your body and you relax certain muscles by focusing on them, and also guided imagery. And the basis of this is very interesting because the brain cannot distinguish between something that's already happened and something that you may have imagined. So what the principle is in visualization is that you tell your brain that you have achieved the goal, and the brain will think it's true. And this actually does work. And I invite you to try visualizing what your wildest goal would be, and your brain will actually believe it. Good luck. Manifestation is a form of visualization which allows you to bring something tangible into your life by attraction and belief. This puts you in a growth mindset and allows us, at the very least, allows us to define and clarify what we want, and the brain seeks out ways to get it. And one of the ways that I suggest you incorporate this is by making a list at every evening. And this is actually what I do, so you can follow this as well. Is you can make a list of what your only three things. What are three things that you want to do tomorrow? So every night I write a list. One list is called Wins for Today, which are three things that I did on that day that are my quote unquote wins. And then the second column is wins for tomorrow, which are 3 things that I will accomplish the next day. It's not the next day, so I haven't accomplished them yet, but I write down wins for tomorrow. And I said, these are the things I'm going to do as my wins. And by doing this, it's positive reinforcement for your brain. Your brain seeks it out. And this actually really works. This is a quote that I will close out this module with, by Janine Roth again, who said, "It's never been true, not anywhere at any time, that the value of a soul or of a human spirit is dependent on a number on a scale. We are unrepeatable beings of light and space and water who need these physical vehicles to get around. When we start defining ourselves by that which can be measured or weighed, something deep within us rebels." And I think that this is a beautiful quote. This is something that we should all keep in mind, that the number on a scale is just a number. There are so much more to each and every one of us. We all have many, many gifts to give the world and to ourselves, and we need to recognize that and always give ourselves grace because of that. There are some readings here that you can read that are recommended by me. One of them is Anne Poiret, which is called The Body Joyful. Janine Roth, Women, Food, and God. I already recommended that. Brooke Castillo, If I'm So Smart, Why Can't I Lose Weight? Brooke Castillo is the author of The Model. And I think that this is an amazing book, an eye-opening book to open up how we see our thoughts. John Kabat-Zinn, Full Catastrophe Living, James Clear's Atomic Habits, and Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass. I think all of these books have been highly influential to me, and hopefully you will enjoy them as well. And once again, if you want to work with me, I do gut health assessment. I do personalized recommendations for testing and interpretation of tests with recommendations for every client I have. I also do coaching on weight management and stress reduction. And if you ever want to reach me, you can see my website, which is intentionalselfct.com. My Facebook is Intentional Self, and my Instagram is Dr. Terry Alacio. So that's the end of the course, and thank you so much for joining me through this journey.